So today we will discuss about the United Nations Organization, the importance of the United Nations Organization in the public international law. Actually, you may be knowing what are the subjects of the international law. That means on whom the international law can exercise the jurisdiction. That means number one, international law is there only to settle the disputes between nations. That means countries. Suppose if A and B have got some disputes against them, they can approach the local court or municipal court. But if there is dispute between India and China, whom they have to tell? They have to go to the International Court of Justice only. Is it not? So normally the subjects of the international law are nations. That means states. State versus state or state versus so many other states like that. But slowly the concept of individual also encroached into the international law. What is a state? State is nothing but a composition of people. Public means individuals. So individuals are also subjects of the international law. This was very clear while we discussed the case of Kulbhushan Jadhav, who was supposed to be a seaman or a naval officer who was caught in Pakistan, and the military court of Pakistan has given death punishment for him. We don't have any extradition treaty, and the relations between Pakistan and India are strained. Therefore, whom we have to approach? The International Court of Justice. That's why the government of India sent or requested Mr. Hari K. Salve, who is a very famous Supreme Court lawyer, to go to International Court of Justice. He has gone, and luckily he obtained the stay order on the death sentence of Kulbhushan Jadhav. That's why individuals are also subjects of the international law. Fine. Now, states are the subjects of the international law, individuals are the subjects of the international law. But here, there is another organization called as UNO, United Nations Organization. So, this has been formed after the failure of the League of Nations, which was started after the First World War. So, this United Nations Organization is a very big organization having 193 nations as its members. Suppose if something happens to it, can it not go to the court of law or not? That is the major question. So, the International Court of Justice, in its advisory opinion, it has clearly stated that UNO is also a subject of the international law. That is very clearly given the judgment in the advisory opinion regarding the conflict of Israel versus Palestine. What happened during the year 1947? The UNO unilaterally, or of course majority of the members have agreed, it has agreed and recognized the government of Palestine. Actually, there is no territory for this Palestine, but it was recognized by UNO. So a little later, India also recognized it, but it was not accepted by the Israeli forces. So Israeli neighboring countries, Saudi, all these countries went against the Palestine. So in order to subside the matter, the UNO has sent its emissary by name Sir Bernadotte. He was a Swedish national. He went there. He wanted to hold negotiations with both parties, but they were not amicable. Ultimately, the Israeli terrorists killed the so-called Sir Bernadotte. So, even though UNO requested the government of Israel to register a case of murder, they have totally, vehemently denied. No case of murder was registered. No justice was done. What to do? Then they wanted to approach the Supreme Court, International Court of Justice. At that time, only nations or states were the subjects of the international law. Individuals were also subjects of the international law. But what about organizations? Now, International Court of Justice has clearly stated that UNO, being a representative of 193 members of the nation, that too since it has been formed due to the charters, UNO charter is there. So many charters are there. So you are also a subject of the international law. That's why UNO is a subject of the international law. That's why we have to study the so-called subject of UNO. You have to know about the so-called subject UNO, United Nations Organization. Right. So the basic function of the United Nations Organization is to maintain international peace and security. That is the major component. And it acts as a harmonious agent. So while interpreting the statutes, harmonious agent. So even though you see this is spiral, it is not in a regular order. It's up. Some countries will be down, some countries will be ever So UNO will act as a harmonizing factor. It contains ABC like that. It is acts a harmonizing factor. That means అందరి మధ్యన సామరస్యం తీసుకొని వచ్చేటువంటి ఏజెంట్ లాగా పనిచేయాలి. Right? So these are the two major functions of the UNO, and this UNO has got 5 important organizations or organs. Number 1, it is called General Assembly, just like our Parliament. The second one is Security Council, is the most powerful one. Security Council, you may be knowing, it will be having, okay, we will discuss later. Then the third is International Court of Justice. Fourth one is the Secretariat. Fifth one is Economic and Social and Cultural ESCO, Economic, Social and Cultural Organization. These 5 organizations are the most important organizations. Out of them, number 1, General Assembly. General Assembly, just like our Parliament. So 193 members, 190 nations will have members according to their proportion, right? Everybody will have only one vote. So it is otherwise called as a discussion chamber. Whatever is happening in the world, and which will have ramifications, they will be discussed in the General Assembly. Suppose if there is a war in Syria, internal war in Syria, so they will discuss about Syria, and they will pass a resolution whether the UNO has to send its United Nations peacekeeping force to Syria to bring back the normalcy in that country, even though much against the will of the neighboring countries like Jordan, Turkey and others. Like that is the usage of the resolutions passed by the General Assembly. Normally General Assembly is a think tank, or you can call it as a discussion chamber. Every time they will be discussing, they will be holding meetings on Tuesday of one month. Every month they will be holding meetings. Ultimately, so even our people also will be requested to go and address the General Assembly, and sometimes most of the politicians are from India also, they will be going, right? So what is the value of the General Assembly resolutions? So basically the decisions given by the international law or decisions given by the International Court of Justice, they are not legally enforceable, they are not binding. అది దేశాల్లో ఇష్టమైతే ఒబ్లైజ్ చేస్తారు, ఇష్టం లేదా పో కూర్చుంటారు, ఏం చేయడానికి లేదు. Right? Same is the case with General Assembly resolutions. So even though you take a resolution, come on, let us go and fight with Israel and bring back normalcy in General Assembly resolution passed chesna sare. So if Israel does not accept, nobody can do anything. So that is the ultimately the enforcement aspect. Nobody can do anything. International Court of Justice or international law is itself is not enforceable. The only way of enforcing is by way of sanctions. Fine. So the resolutions are not binding, General Assembly resolution. At the same time, if the resolutions are passed by the General Assembly to its lower cadre, there will be a secretariat, there will be executive body, there will be some financial matters, all these things. But definitely for them, the resolutions by the Assembly are binding. So more or less on others, they are not binding. Now coming to the second part, that is Security Council. This is the most important subject. So United Nations Security Council, it is having 15 members. 15 members. Out of them, 5 are permanent members. They are called as P5, permanent members, and you may be knowing them. Number 1, USA. Second one, Russia, previously to call USSR. Third one, China. Fourth one, France. And fifth one, United Kingdom. So number 1, United Kingdom, now we have changed the place to number 5. So India is not a permanent member. They have got the so-called veto power. These 5 members, they were given the highest respect. If they say no, if any one of them says no, that means veto means I don't accept, finish. That proposal will not see the light of the day. So they have given that much of priority at that time, still it is continuing. So regarding the 10 others, they will be elected by proportionate voting once in 3 years. So other 10 members. If any resolution has to be accepted into the Security Council, there must be a majority of 9. That is 9 by 6. Even though 6 people object, if 9 people accept for it, that resolution will be passed. This is one point. The second point is, if anybody objects, that P5 countries, if anybody objects, then if anybody vetoes it, then it's not acceptable and go. Even though these 9 people accept it, if any one of the veto members does not accept it, finish, it's gone. And here you have to remember that these people have got, P5 people have got two types of veto powers. Two types. That's why it's called double veto. So in the Security Council, the General Assembly will pass certain resolutions, sir. Then they will be placed before the Security Council. First of all, it has to be decided whether it is whether it is an important matter or an unimportant matter. Important matter means to be discussed only before the P5 countries. Unimportant matter, anybody can decide the matter. So, before discussion itself, before saying whether it is an important matter or ordinary matter, if any of the P5 country members are present, if they say veto, then this important matter will become non-important. Finish. First stage itself, it will not be taken into discussion. But still, remember, the Secretary General of the Security Council, he has got what is called executive power. Even though this is vetoed here, he can bring it back once again and put before the 15 members Security Council. So when he puts before the matter, then also this one of the P5 countries people can say veto. Finish. Second time also it will go. Why this is done? So recently we were seeing yesterday the elections took place in the United States of America. So Mr. Donald J. Trump, he wanted to put some curbs on the newly born children in America of other countries' people. Suppose if an Indian woman gives birth to a child in America, previously normally he will be given birth rights and he is considered to be a citizen of America. He is American born child. Now Donald Trump says no. Only people, Americans who are born in America, they will be treated as American citizens, not other people. But for which the Congress did not agree. Therefore, he has passed the executive orders. The President is authorized to exercise the executive powers. Nobody can do anything. Like that, this Secretary General, present Secretary General Antonio Guterres, so he can take up the matter and put before the Security Council once again, treating it as an important matter. Even then, they have got so much of power or veto that once again they can say veto, and now totally this proposal will go into the cold storage. That is the importance of the Security Council, right? Other things you need not discuss. So the other organs are International Court of Justice. So when the League of Nations was formed in 1920 or so, they have called a Permanent Court of Justice. They have established the Permanent Court of Justice. Now it is called as the International Court of Justice, which is located in Hague, which is in the country called Netherlands. There are 15 judges in the International Court of Justice. Actually, this is divided into two divisions. There is one International Court of Justice. The second one is called Permanent Court of Arbitration, because normally the disputes will be certain regarding certain treaties only between the nations. There is no personal animosity. Normally these things can be settled only through arbitration. So Permanent Court of Arbitration plays a major role as long as the International Court of Justice is concerned. Right? There are 15 judges. We call them as members in the International Court of Justice. Out of them, one will be the Chief Justice, who is designated as President of the International Court of Justice. Now, Jacob Zuma is from Somalia. Previously he was the Vice President. Now he is the President of the International Court of Justice. As regards India, there is one judge by name Dalbir Bhandari. He is a Sikh from Haryana. Previously also he was there. Their term is 3 years. So actually 9 years term, once in 3 years they will be elected by rotation process only. So International Court of Justice will deal, it has got 3 types of jurisdiction. Number 1, contentious jurisdiction. Contention means if there is any dispute. If there is any dispute between India and China regarding the Doklam issue, then they will approach the International Court of Justice. Normally, when I say about jurisdiction, normally Ongole one town, it has jurisdiction towards on the western side of Trunk Road, 2 town on the eastern side of Trunk Road, Taluka, like that we have already got in mind about the jurisdiction. Likewise, High Court, entire AP, Supreme Court, entire India. So, International Court of Justice, don't think it extends to entire universe. It extends, but as far as the contentious jurisdiction is concerned, whenever there is a dispute between 2 or 3 countries, the jurisdiction extends to that countries only. contentious jurisdiction. When there is a dispute, right. The second one is advisory jurisdiction. Already I told you, advisory opinion, whether UNO can be a member of the, can be a subject of the international like that. So the UNO will have so many doubts. People will have so many doubts. They need advice. So advisory jurisdiction. The third one is incidental jurisdiction. So there are 193 members in the United Nations. Fine. There are so many other countries also in the world. So far 242 countries are known to the world. There may be so many countries unknown to the world also. So regarding the 193, and 4 countries are in the pipeline to get the membership in the UNO, like Taiwan. It was given membership due to the objection by China. Now it is taken out. Then Sahrawi Arab Republic. Then Morocco. So many countries are there. So if something happens to the non-members, other than the 193 member, if something happens to the Sahrawi Arab Republic, there was a dispute between Sahrawi Arab Republic and South Africa. South Africa is a member of the UNO, but the Sahrawi Arab Republic is not a member. If something happens to it, so it can also approach the International Court of Justice. We cannot say that since you are not member of the UNO, you cannot come and represent before the International Court of Justice. So if really any dispute is there, then the International Court of Justice will apply incidental jurisdiction, incidentally, and decide the issue between the countries. Right? So the International Court of Justice is the main forum which solves the dispute between the countries. So that Kulbhushan Jadhav case we also discussed, and International Court of Justice will appoint some tribunals. They are called as international criminal courts. So as far as international tribunals, we can call them as international courts of crime or international criminal courts. Suppose if some genocide means so killing away a particular sect of people. Suppose in Serbia, it happened that the Serbs used to kill Muslims, whoever is coming. In 1984, after the death of Indira Gandhi on 31st October, what happened? In India, in Delhi, whoever Sikh comes on the road, he was killed actually, literally. That is what is called genocide. It's happening in so many Eastern Muslim countries also. So if some things are there, then the International Court of Justice will go there. So it will establish a tribunal called as International Criminal Court. It will conduct a trial there itself. It will examine witnesses and deliver the judgment. It is called ICC. Otherwise, it's a tribunal. Very recently, there was a dispute regarding the National Register for Citizens. There is a dispute between Assamese and Bengalis. So in Assam, because of the entrance of Bangladesh people, because of the entrance of so many other Myanmar people, like Chekmas, all these Rohingyas, all these people, their population has become much and they have become a threat to the native Assamese, particularly with the Bengalis of Bangladesh. So they wanted to decide who is a Bengali, who is an Assami, and who is a non-member. They have to. So since the war between India and Pakistan took place in 1971, they have put the cut-off date, and if any person proves that he is staying there before that particular date of 24/5/1971, I think. So before that date, he will be called as national of Assam. Assamese citizen. Other people, so they are not declared as citizens, then they have to go away. So there is a lot of confusion among that also. Now, if at all any dispute is there, they have to approach the Foreigners Tribunal established by the International Court of Justice. So this is the importance of International Court of Justice. Right. Next organ is important organ of this is World Bank. It is otherwise called as International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, IBRD. Right? It is located in Washington. The main function of this World Bank is to give loans for reconstruction and development. Because of the World War, so many countries like Japan, they have been destructed heavily. So now they have to be reconstructed. To help them for the purpose of reconstruction, the World Bank will give loans at a lower rate of interest and collect the money. So friend, remember, it's a bank, it's a business. Definitely you have to repay the money. You cannot take away the money and spend the same and say no. Of course, the countries like Rwanda, they have also done the same thing. Now they are facing the wrath of it. But anyway, the World Bank will give loans to the nations, that means countries, number one, for their reconstruction. The second point is development. So India, it was a developing country. It needs money, finance. So the World Bank will give loan to India for the development. So in the name of development only, they are interfering in your administration. So when P.V. Narasimha Rao took loans, there was a very bad comment on him that he is abiding to the terms and conditions of the World Bank. Who will give money freely? They will not give. They will definitely put some conditions, is it not? So you have to abide by the conditions, but the conditions are not regulatory, they are advisory. So that's why when very recently, when Chandrababu Naidu wanted to construct the Amaravati capital, he obtained a World Bank loan. But because of the petition put in by Jagan, the World Bank people came away and inquired, and ultimately they did not sanction the loan. That's why definitely they will interfere. This is the purpose of World Bank. Two ways: number one, for the reconstruction and for the development. Right? So definitely it is helpful, and luckily India is one of the countries which repays the loans regularly, unlike Rwanda. Rwanda did not pay a single pie total. Venezuela, very recently, Venezuela also going down. It is not able to pay any money back to the World Bank. So where from this World Bank get money? It is getting money from the Swiss banks. Normally we will be knowing. So many people deposit money in the Swiss banks. And none of them, most of them, they do not require money from the bank. They die, and the money will be kept swindling there. So they will give the money to the World Bank at a lesser rate of interest. World Bank will give the money to conditions a little bit higher rate, and it recollects the money. Right. There is another organization called as IMF. So that is what is called as International Monetary Fund. So I have told you about the World Bank. World Bank will give loans to the nations. IMF also, the main purpose of IMF is just like our Reserve Bank. So it has to control the monetary flow between the nations. Suppose what happening is today the dollar rate is going high, rupees value is being decreased. Suppose the same situation countries, India goes for inflation. So such things should not be there. For that purpose, immediately the International Monetary Fund will come to the rescue of India. It give some heavy amounts of money so that the balance will come. So this rupee will balance with the dollar. So that is the main purpose of the International Monetary Fund. So its main function is to see that the foreign exchange rates are not abnormal. They should be normal. The dollar rate normal, it should be around 50 to 60 rupees only. So for getting that, India should have more money. So that money will given by the International Monetary Fund. But remember, International Monetary Fund will collect heavy amounts of interest. World Bank will collect lesser amount, but IMF will collect heavy banks rates of interest. That's why people don't go to the IMF. Only thing is, during the Vishwanath Pratap Singh regime or Chand Singh regime, we went to the IMF, we pledged our gold there and got money. Luckily, after the return of P.V. Narasimha Rao's government, it was taken back. Right, that is the, so please remember, International Monetary Fund is there to balance the flow of economy between the countries, to maintain the exchange rate. Right, so there is another organization called as World Trade Organization. So this is a beneficial organization. Trade should, you may be knowing between the difference between commerce, trade. Trade means nothing but business. Please remember business. So the business should be cordial. Business should be encouraging. Suppose I am the producer of agriculture. So I am having, India is having so much of surplus of rice. So if I say I give the rice at some abnormal rate, if people in needy in South African countries, if you are not able to sell the same, if you hoard the same, what will happen? Your rate will go on that means. So World Trade Organization will maintain the trade relations. So they will act on behalf of the Somalia and request you to lower down your rate. So for a lesser rate, it will supply to Somalia. Like that, world trade, the trade should be. So normally, so many disputes will occur regarding the trade. So there is a long-standing dispute between India and Turkey regarding the supply of cotton. So Turkey is famous for production of Turkey towels. So they depend on the cotton from India. Our people sent the cotton with high humidity, because if there is humidity, the weight will be more. But when it went to Turkey, the humidity has gone and the weight is lessened. So they did not agree. Is though the ship was lodged there itself. So demurrage value, so many things have happened. Still no, that case is not traced. We have filed a petition before the World Trade Organization. Likewise, there is a dispute between USA and India regarding solar panels. So solar panels we supply at a cheaper rate, but they were not up to the standard. USA stopped them in middle, and the dispute is not raised. So World Trade Organization, number one, it balances the trade between countries. Number two, it tries to solve the disputes regarding the, trade disputes. Right. The last one is International Labour Organization. It's one of the beneficial organizations. So the person's labor, they should get number one, emoluments. That means wages, minimum wage, common wage, and living wages. So these concepts were developed from the International Labour Organization only. Welfare measures mainly. So if there are more than some 100 laborers, you should maintain a crush. They should maintain all these things have been discussed with the International Labour Organization. Normally internet labor disputes, so with them only the so-called collective bargaining, all these things have come into existence. If you study the same, you can get to understand it. So this is briefly regarding the UNO.